Are you an avid adventurer who loves the freedom of the open roads? Well, we are. So if you're currently traveling in a camper van or an RV, or if you're thinking about embarking on a journey, well, there are a few crucial safety considerations you better keep in mind. Now, while the RV life offers incredible flexibility and a chance to explore the world on your own terms, there are some serious dangerous habits that can be putting your safety or the safety of others at risk. So today, we're gonna share with you 7 dangerous things you should never do in your camper van or RV. As a matter of fact, you might be doing some of these right now, and you better stop. Let's get into it. Okay, so a lot of you might be wondering, where the heck are you guys? Well, we're at this beautiful RV resort in Las Vegas. We figured, why not come outside and sit poolside and talk about this? But I have to say something really quick. You know, we are definitely guilty of some of these dangerous habits ourselves. I'm just saying.
No, that's true. We're making some confessions today.
Yeah, we definitely are. So this way we can feel like we're all in this together. All right, so let's kick things off with 1, overloading your camper van. Now, I know we are all guilty of this. You know, it might be tempting to think about packing everything and the kitchen sink as you embark on your journey, but seriously, overloading your RV or camper van can be seriously dangerous, right?
No, it's very true. And as Tanya said, we're guilty of this as well. When we moved into desert snow, I mean, it's a small camper van, right? It's Ford Transit chassis, 23 feet long. And we're trying to bring our comforts of home with us on the road. And so my first instinct is like, pack everything as we can. Get everything in the garage you can, as much as you can in there.
You tried your best, and you were wrong.
Then you realize, especially when you load up and fill up your water tanks and all that you could very well be overweight, right?
Absolutely.
So you really want to be conscious of that. Be careful, because it has a real impact on the driving and your braking and all that.
And one of the huge things too is by overloading your RV, you don't only risk yourselves and your lives, but you might risk others on the road as well. Next up, driving faster than the tires on your RV are rated.
Wow, this is very true. I can't even count the times we've seen rigs going by at high speeds. A lot of times it's like towables or fifth wheels or really small tires on them. You know they aren't rated for very high, maybe not over 65, and they're going like 85 miles an hour. And it may be within the speed limit in some places, but it's over the tire rating of those tires. That's a real safety risk.
Yeah, and just imagine pairing that with a possible overweight rig on top of that. Woo, that's a recipe for disaster. Next up, ignoring propane safety and driving with the propane on.
Now this one is a bit controversial, which actually is a bit surprising to us. We feel it's very important to turn the propane off when you're driving. Now, in our rig, it doesn't make any sense to have it on anyway, right? It's really just the heat, and we have a system that we can actually keep our tanks from freezing while we're driving.
Yes.
Right? Whereas I know others, propane can actually heat the fridge, which is a tougher decision on whether to turn it off or not.
Cool the fridge.
Oh, I said heat the fridge, yeah?
Cool the fridge.
Cool the fridge.
Cool the fridge.
Yeah, of course, cool the fridge.
Yes.
Right, and so some people will drive with it, but we just think...
One other thing about propane we should mention, and we've had since this times we're in RV parks, sometimes the smell of propane could actually mean there's a propane leak. That's important to check that, right?
No, absolutely. Make sure you check your lines, make sure everything is secure, that you don't have any propane leaks. That can definitely be dangerous.
Oh, and I just have to mention, if you hear some of that whistling noise going on at the moment, well, it's because we have to share this spot with some cicadas. And you know how those little buggers, once they start rubbing those legs or whatever they do, we need some grackles.
Exactly. They're everywhere. They're everywhere.
Driving with unsecured items. Let me first start off by saying we are definitely, contributors of doing that. You know, sometimes when you're packing up pretty quickly, or you forget to secure certain things, or if you don't actually realize you haven't secured something until you get into an accident. And yes, we were just in a recent collision with our RV Desert Snow. And if you're not familiar with that video, you may go ahead and check it out on a video we put together to get more information on that. But I'm talking about in particular our Berkey system.
Yes.
You know, our Berkey system, the bottom is secure, the top wasn't necessarily secure.
Right.
And when we actually got into our collision, the Berkey system just went flying right up to the front seat and everything got wet.
Yeah, and it was scary. We weren't going fast at all. And you can imagine if you were traveling pretty quickly, I mean, things could be just like projectiles flying through there. So you really want to take some time to think about, okay, is everything secure? I mean, the obvious things are like things on the wall, right? Like paintings and pictures and things. But like that Berkey, we didn't realize that went flying.
Oh, it went flying. And that was a little scary. Drinking from your fresh water tank without any filters. Now this topic sparks a little bit of controversy for sure, right?
No, it does. We've had comments saying, oh, I've been drinking out of my water tank for like 20 years, no problem. But I mean, the water's just sitting in that tank and it can actually get bacteria pretty easily. So we think it's very important to make sure you're filtering your water with a good filtration system. We actually have multiple filters in ours.
We
One
do.
from the
It goes from the pump,
yeah.
then it goes to the RV, and then it goes into the Berkey, and then it goes from the Berkey into the bottle, and it goes from the bottles into my mouth.
Exactly.
Dun, dun, dun. Not using a surge protector, y'all. Now, one thing I can say for sure is that not all campground currents are equal. You don't know what you're getting when you're plugging into that system, you know, so you got to be really cautious about that. And sometimes plugging directly into that power supply could blow everything in your RV.
Yeah, no, it's just
Costly.
Exactly. It's very good safety practice. Always use a surge protector. Just protect your rig. Last thing you want to do is get some strange surge coming in right from the RV resort, wherever you're plugged in. And because if that goes into your system and blows everything, that's going to be very expensive.
Absolutely. And you know what? It costs a lot less just to buy, what, a $200 surge protector that could cost you thousands of dollars in repair.
Right, and plus it could be hazardous, cause a fire. So just avoid that.
Disregarding weather warnings. You know what? Weather conditions can change all the time, right, babe?
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly, I mean, I've been guilty of not staying on top of the weather, especially with some of our winter camping. We've been caught.
I've been guilty too.
Yeah, we've been caught in blizzards, and obviously it can be very dangerous. Not just blizzards, but say high wind situations. If you're driving your rig down the road, it's super windy. That can be a really dangerous situation, driving down the road with a big rig getting tossed around by the wind.
Absolutely, and that's just really goes to show being attuned to the weather. And you can't prepare for that all the time. We understand there's certain times where you're actually driving into a storm that might be coming at you. It's just be precautious, be safe, and take your time in those type of conditions.
Now, babe, we have some really important bonus things that you should never do in your RV that we should really mention.
You know, you're absolutely right. And not only are these bonus ones we should mention, but they're true safety concerns and possibly could damage your RV if you're not paying attention to them. So let's get into it. Like driving down really bumpy roads. Do with me, bumpy roads.
Oh, okay. Now this one we're definitely guilty of, right? You're driving your home down the road, and most of these RVs and even some of the camper vans aren't designed for going down and just shaking your house around like crazy.
Yeah.
You know, the lines are gonna loosen up, the bolts, the screws, all that stuff, and you gotta go through and check out. You might get water leaks from that. So if you can avoid it, don't go down bumpy roads, because that's gonna really do a lot of damage to your RV.
Yeah, and sometimes you can't avoid it. Like for us, for instance, we love the boondocking life.
Yeah.
Not only do we enjoy the campgrounds, but we love getting off into some, you know, more isolated areas. And a lot of times, those type of roads do require you to go down some washboards and bumps. The views are there. Just mentally prepare yourself that you most likely will have to be in the repair shop after that trip.
Yeah.
Leaving your awning out when you're not around. Oh, I have to tell the story on this one. So we were this close from losing our awning, and we were actually there. But you know what? When your awning is out, you never know what could happen. For instance, we had a potential, we call them dust devils, where just randomly, like a little mini cyclone just comes up and boom, it could completely rip your awning off. So we do realize as we're out traveling, whenever we're leaving the RV, we tend to put our awning in, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's even true if your awning has that automatic retractable feature, which ours does.
It does.
But if a strong wind comes through, like it can in the Vegas area in particular, I mean, that awning can break pretty easily. RV awnings are notorious for breaking.
Oh, yeah.
So be careful and put it in before you leave.
Absolutely. You know, you don't want your awning ending up in your neighbor's backyard. Now, this one might apply to those that like us, that do enjoy winter camping, but it's not paying attention to temperatures overnight, especially during those cold winters.
And this is especially true when you're changing seasons, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
the days might be a little bit warmer, but the nights go down, and you get these freeze warnings. And this happened to us, right?
Several times.
Well, at one time we didn't put our heat on, and the temperature got below freezing and actually froze a couple of our pipes, which was super frustrating. We came back to the
little
rig.
valve.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
came
that's
back to the rig. We had a leak in the rig and had to get it fixed.
Towing a vehicle over the tow rate capacity of your rig. No, no, no.
Now, we actually don't tow a vehicle, but we've seen more situations where there might be even like a small SUV or something towing this huge thing behind it. And we know our capacity very well. It's 4,000 pounds. So a lot of things we'd like to tow, we actually wouldn't be able to in our rig. But it's very important. Again, this gets back to the whole weight of your vehicle, the combined weight of that and what you're towing. Just be careful. Stay within the capacity of your tow, your tow capacity.
Draining the gray water, y'all, on the ground. No, no, no.
You shouldn't dump your gray water, out on the ground. Now, we know in some BLM areas it may be legal to do so.
Yeah.
Don't dump your gray water. Plus, babe, I mean, it smells.
It does.
Right?
Ours does. You know, I do a lot of cooking inside and outside of the rig, so when I'm washing dishes, whether it's from meat or seafood, the gray water tends to have a smell. I mean, would you really want that dumped on your campground? So you got to be really careful and be mindful of that. Like, would you want your stinky gray water dripped all over your ground? No, probably not. So don't do it to others. Don't dump them on the ground. Now, we don't have a black tank, but leaving the black tank open while you're connected to the sewer? Now, I know a lot of you probably know this, but full hookup black tank valves must be closed, y'all. Keep them closed when you're hooked up to that sewer line.
Right, no, it's pretty nasty. I mean, the fumes from the line can come up back right into the RV. And plus, if you have it open all the time, your fluids are gonna kind of go down, right? But the solids might create this poop pyramid, and that can be a real problem for you.
Think of it like wall plaster.
Exactly.
Once it gets hard, it gets hard. It's hard to get it off, but poopy stop.
Exactly. So if you're connected, if you have the sewers connected, keep the black tank one closed and just open it when you're draining it.
Now, sometimes in a rush, we all forget this, but it's really important to check and maintain the tire pressure or checking the tires on a regular basis.
Now that's really true, right? I mean, obviously our camper van is like 10,000 pounds, right? And some of these bigger RVs are much heavier than that. So these tires are carrying a lot of pressure. So it's super important to make sure that your tire pressure is right. And also that the tires aren't worn. They can get worn down pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, imagine if you have dualies, how much more important is it so that they're not actually rubbing? And sometimes if the pressure, you know how it goes, gets lower, those puppies will rub, therefore causing some big problems. This is an important one, especially if you're a pet owner and pet lover. Let your system working, especially if you're gonna be away from your RV. We travel with our two cats, Bailey and Brady, and for us, those are our kiddos. So it's very important when we're going off hiking to make sure we have proper temperature monitoring systems, right? Like we have the Waggle, for instance, and we even have others that will sync to our Starlink or other devices that has its own sort of GPS, because you never know. So I always say the more the merrier, if you're gonna be camping in really warm condition areas, right?
No, absolutely.
So that's when we'll know like how important for us is to have those monitoring systems. But it's truly life-saving for us and definitely our four-legged friends. Not knowing the height of your RV. Important.
This one's super important. It quite often is referred to as, say, an RV newbie mistake, but it can be a mistake for all of us. You get a new rig, you gotta know the height of your RV. If you're driving down, you know, say back roads, you see kind of a low tunnel you're going through or something, a low overhang, you don't want to question. The last thing you want to do is, of course, like take off the top and suddenly you're in a convertible.
Yeah, 100%. I always say this, whatever the height of your rig is, just give it a little bit more. Justify a little bit more and say it's a little bit higher mentally, so that's always in the back of your mind. So whenever you are going through the tunnels, like Dave said, you don't end up with a convertible. Okay, now this one, you guys, this one happens to more folks than you can imagine. Packing up too quickly when you're about to leave a campground or your boondocking site. Oh, especially without having a checklist. Guilty sometimes, yeah.
Oh, I mean, probably all of us are guilty on this one. And, you know, it's super important. Go through your checklist. Make sure you have your things you're going through. I have things I'm going through. And if you forget something, suddenly you're going down the road and, you know, maybe you've forgotten to do something like rattling, or I forgot to do something outside. Get it done, stay focused on what you're doing, and do everything right as you break down to hit the road.
Absolutely well said. High five.
All right. Thanks, baby.
Really quick, take a second. If you enjoy our content and haven't done so, please hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you keep getting some of the best travel adventures that puts a smile on your face out there.
Now, if there are any dangerous things that you should never do in a camper van that you're aware of that we didn't mention, let us know in the comments below.
Absolutely. We'd love to read them. And on that note, we'll see y'all in the next one.